Hi, friends, and welcome. I am Katy Bray, as you can see right here at the bottom of the screen, and I am excited to be here with my dear friend, Susan Allen, she's a fellow psychic, and she's also an expert animal communicator. I'm going to ask her a little bit more about her story and how she's taken this lifelong gift that she's had and turned it into a profession. Similar to me, we were both born very skilled. And then it took us some time to sort of come out of our closet. I think that's one of the things that I've always loved that we have in common. And again, I'm going to let her say more, but she started off really working with animals, and then the animals started telling her their person's little dirty secrets. And so lo and behold, she's working with people as well. So we are welcoming comments, questions. If you have any questions, if they're specific about your, beloved animal or yourself, if they're about you specifically, Susan and I will both probably tag team them. Susan will definitely handle the animal questions unless something doesn't leave me alone. But it's funny because Susan, I have had so many clear moments with animals that were amazing and otherworldly and all of that. But I've never really considered myself an animal communicator because it's not something that flows with me that way. Like, I've been able to find lost animals, but it's funny how it sort of picks and chooses itself when I'm really supposed to go there and when I'm not. You know what I mean? Everything else, like when I stay in my lane and I'm working with people, it's like it just comes. It's natural, it flows. With animals, it's not that way in a professional setting, let's say. So I don't know. I always found that really interesting. Yeah. But what I want to know is, when did you first realize that you were communicating with animals? Little Miss Doolittle.
A lot of crazy things happened throughout my life since I'm a child with animals. And, it felt natural. So I never really told anybody about it or, thought, wow, that's, a visitation, or that's, something that just happened. I just thought I felt better around animals than I did around people, to be honest with you. Or yeah, the fact is, I felt like they were in my tribe more than people.
Yeah.
So I always gravitated towards animals. And my earliest memory is, whenever there was issues in my household, my dad would know intuitively to bring me to where the animals were, like the petting zoo. And then everything was right again in my world. And it started that way again when I was at a ranch. I couldn't ride horses. So a friend of mine who's a trainer said, just come and love on Leo. And I did it every week. I went to this ranch in Malibu, and I felt like it was a therapy session. So I'd brush him, I'd bring him a bunch of carrots, and I'd massage him. And then he'd finally lower his head and let me rub his head. And I knew that that was the end of what he needed. And when it came close to me knowing I wouldn't be visiting him for 6 weeks, I said to him, I really can't stay here very long today. And if you're not going to lower your head, well, I'm not going to get to scratch your face and kiss it. Because he was a ginormous horse. Mm-hmm. He looked at me, his ears came forward and his head lowered, and it was like a split second. And I went, oh my God, something serious just happened. And 6 weeks later, when I went back, I started, just talking to him, telepathically back and forth. I wasn't talking to him out loud because I thought people would think I was really nuts. So, he basically told me where his pain was, and I put my hand where his pain was, and I'd feel my hand go from really, really hot to cold. And I knew we were complete. And when I asked questions about him and his history to the trainer, I said, he's got this issue in his hindquarters. And she says, yeah, we're really well aware of that. And it was almost like she thought someone had told me, but nobody was ever there. It was just the men that put these horses away and bring them to the cross ties for me to work on, because he was this high-end dressage horse, and they said he had a lot of energy. They didn't want me responsible bringing him from in and out of his stall. So the guy there that knew me, and I'd say I'm ready, and he'd bring him out, and that's kind of how this whole thing started. And I just started doing animal readings for friends and family, and then before I knew it, my phone was blowing up with pictures. And someone said, you need, it's an exchange of energy, so you need to start really charging for this. So I was like, okay. I mean, I literally fell into it. But if I go back a little bit, I can tell you I was meditating. I had to start meditating because the amount of energy and anxiety I had coming in, and the amount of information, I thought it was all me. I thought it was my head that was just a ton of energy and a ton of information coming in. So I had to sit quiet and go inside and find that inside of me connected to spirit and get really quiet. And it started to feel really good. So it was like a double thing. Not only was I helping people, but I was also helping myself.
Yeah. I love that you realized or recognized that, you had all this energy, of course, and I know exactly what you're talking about, but that what you did was you knew to sit and be quiet, because I know that, generally a lot of people feel they need to do the opposite. And I know that when I work with some of my personal clients on helping them develop their intuition, when they feel that kind of energy start coming in, it's like, okay, now what do I have to do? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go dance. I'm going to go run. Okay, maybe I need to write. It's uncomfortable because, usually it's us sensitive types. So here we're feeling all of this energy. It can feel really overwhelming. And it's like, okay, what do I need to do? But I love that you intuitively knew that what you needed to do was nothing, that you needed to be. And that's really what enabled you to be this channel. I love that you knew that.
It took a long time. I would always call the wrong people. I think I needed something outside of myself to fix me. And it's like I needed nothing but what was in me. And it took a long time. I mean, even when I started meditating, the only way I started to meditate was I couldn't sleep. So in that sleepy state at like 4:30 or 5 in the morning, full of anxiety, I would crawl to the kitchen sink and squeeze lemon in water and light a candle, and I would sit. And it's actually something I really like to help people with, and I don't charge for that. So if you want to hit me up on Facebook, someone gave it to me as a gift, the way that I meditate, and it's priceless for me. It's been totally priceless. And I feel like, wow, it was in the sleepy state of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, not being able to sleep, that I was able to get into the alpha state really easier. And in the beginning, it was like I couldn't sit for 2 minutes. And I just stayed out of the judgment, and I just would go back in and just go back in and go back in. And then before I knew it, I was doing, 20 minutes, and it felt like I was sitting for 3 minutes.
Wow.
So it's no judgment. Just keep going within. And it's a human condition that we try to seek the guru, or we try to fix it or go or do. Right. It's a human condition. Yeah. Because we're fed this.
Yes.
You need this. You need that. I can remember how many people said, "Oh, you need this, and you'll pay me this, and I'll fix it." And I had to finally say, it's not fixing it. It's an inside thing.
It's not fixable because you're not broken.
You're not broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful to get to that place.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No.
There's a little delay. I just want to remind anyone who's watching, if you have any questions about your beloved pets or yourself that you would like to have Susan and I take a look at, please do. We are we're animal lovers, but Susan is amazing with animal communication, which leads me to my next question for you. I know this story, but I love this story, so I'd like for you to share it. But when was it that you realized, or maybe you had a first client realize, that you were not just talking to their animal, but that there was some other information coming along for you to start speaking about?
I didn't, I'm a self-doubting person, so I would always like need verification. I didn't want to give false information. I was really like, oh, is this right? Is this right? So the beginning years, I can't really speak of exactly which incident, but there was one in particular, and you could tell me if this was the one, and you can remind me to go back. I mean, so many people have said, because I don't really remember my readings. It's people that will text me, or I did a radio show with a dear friend, and it was several years ago, like 3 years ago, and I said to her, she was introducing me, and she said that I told her that there were pictures of her golden retrievers with her grandfather in a chest of drawers. And I went, there's no way I said that. I was like in my head going, there's no way I said that. And I said, she's just bragging, or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking. And I said, I really don't remember that. And she goes, I do, because there was no way that I believed you, because it was my wedding day. And what I found out later was my dad took my grandfather back to my house to meet my dogs, and he shot all these photos of my grandfather with my dogs. And she had all these priceless photos that she didn't even know existed, and I didn't believe her. And I was taping all my tapes because I'm still trying to write this book. I was taping all my readings, and I listened to the reading, and I did tell her that. And so there was another incident. So that was one. I don't know if that was it. But there was another incident where I was doing the opening meditation for a girl, and I'd never read for her before, and I did the chakra balancing, and I got to her lower belly, and I saw a baby in her belly, and I was, what? And I blurted it out. I go, there's a baby in your belly, and she goes, no. And I go, how old are you? And she was really young. And I was like, maybe it's a future baby. And
or maybe it's just a really good idea you're birthing.
She doesn't sound like she wants a baby. And she texted me, and she said, what you saw was true. I took a pregnancy test the next morning, and I'm pregnant. I don't know. And then I read for a cat breeder in Chicago, and I said, your sister should not have this neck surgery. It's not going to work. You need to tell her, she'll fix it. But she goes, what? And her sister was in Russia. And so it's, I know from friends, spirit doesn't lie. So if I'm talking to spirit, they're not going to lie.
Yeah.
They keep you on point,
Yeah.
They're here for our highest good. They're here to bring messages of healing, love, and support, and tell you that you inside of you have the answers.
Yes. Well, speaking of telling us things, so Julianne is saying, my almost 13-year-old pug has lost her hearing and a lot of eyesight. She barks at nothing in particular, and loves and attention doesn't stop it. Any idea? So they can't seem to soothe her out of that.
Well, I really believe that your dog is not barking at nothing. Your dog is definitely connected and sees, visitors, happy visitors in your house. I don't believe that your dog is doing it for attention, Julianne. I believe that your dog is very present and is communicating, and you just can't see what your dog's communicating with. And I don't know if she could tell you I feel like it's a grandfather that is just like watching over you and visits, and your dog is trying to tell you, hey, you're okay, mom. You know, grandpa's here watching over you.
Mm.
That's what I'm picking up. Was there anything more to that question?
No, Julianne, if you have anything you want to add to that, please feel free.
And tell me your dog's name. If she pops up that dog's name, I'd love to.
Yeah, name would be really helpful. Would be great.
Great.
Yeah. I've always been, a huge animal lover to the point where I've always had a lot of animals. Like I had 6 ferrets and a bird in my one dorm room when I was in college. Like I've always had to have a lot of animals around me, no joke. And even now we've got 3 dogs, 2 cats, and we have a really fun hermit crab. He's got the best personality of any hermit crab you could ever imagine. And I've always been so aware of their ability to tune into things and just how sensitive they are. And particularly, we've got a name, so I want to get to that in a second. But I remember when one of my dogs first started losing his eyesight and how much more sensitive he seemed to become, because it seemed like there wasn't all that distraction. Even though he could see before that, it wasn't all the same distraction. And it's almost like for some people, they can see clairvoyantly better at night or with their eyes closed. It's a really similar effect. So this little pug's name is Bindi Lou. Is that the cutest name ever? Bindi Lou.
Okay.
And she says she looks cuckoo when she does it.
This dog is very present, and this dog, Julianne, is not cuckoo. This dog is definitely a spiritual messenger of sorts to keep the balance of the house. I mean, she is so present and connected. Yep. She's like, she just said, they think I'm senile. Have you thought that she was possibly senile? Because she said that you're thinking she's senile, and she's not. She's like, I'm not senile.
Well, Julianne is saying she does stop for food, and then Julianne's laughing at that. Of course, it's a pug. I mean, well, don't all animals do that? But I know I love pugs. I've had pugs. They will stop for food, especially girl pugs. Yeah. They're just little divas. I love them.
I have a Frenchie, so
yeah,
it's the same class.
Yes, I love that.
I'm glad they love to eat.
Yeah. So I hope that helped you, Julianne. Bindi Lou.
I have to say, don't think that she's senile, because she's very present.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really important.
And did you get the one from Tessa? It came up on my page. My dog's scratching to get in the room now.
Oh, I didn't.
You did? Okay.
Demented. Julianne said demented.
Don't call that dog demented. So, this woman sent me a picture about her cat, and there's so much, animals can feel the sadness, right? When we project like that it was something that we had done, when really karmically it was exactly how it was supposed to happen. You know this.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that you could have done that was more special than the fact that you had an imprint with this kitten. We're talking about Tessa the kitten. You had an imprint, and Tessa had an imprint with you. It's so funny that she said, did she have a good passing? She posted, did you feel that you had a good passing? Did she pass okay? I didn't feel like this cat was gone. I didn't feel like that. Like, it's very present. And this little kitten thanks this woman, I think her name is Alexandra, for giving her a comfortable environment at her birth. And so this little kitten, this woman was the first woman that was in the room when this kitten was born. And so it was like, they both imprinted on each other. So it was a wonderful thing. I have to say, a lot of forgiveness is needed um, for your dad. I think this man probably doesn't live that day down that he gave away your cat. He wasn't thinking. And I think you really need to send your dad love and forgiveness. And it just releases everyone. It releases the kitten that's now a full grown cat. It releases you and it releases your dad. We all need tons of forgiveness. I mean, we're so infallible. We're humans, experiencing life. Mm-hmm. So forgive, forgive, forgive as much as you can. It's just so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
Not always easy, but very freeing.
Yeah. Well, and I've always been amazed at what animals will pick up from us. Like it was one of the pugs that I had. Her name was Sam, and or Samantha. She was my daughter Maya's like best friend. They were attached at the hip. When Maya would go to her dad's for the weekend, Sam would go with her. They did volunteer work together. Sam and Maya led parades together. I mean, it was like right out of a storybook. And we moved out to San Diego. And a couple of years later, Sam was diagnosed with like stage 4 cancer. And we were told that she only had a few weeks, maybe a month to live. It was her entire leg, stage 4. And she was 13 at the time. So we weren't even considering amputating, just because we knew at that age it would be far too traumatic for her. We could just tell. And there was something in me that I was like, she's not going. And I knew that she had absorbed too much stress from us over the years. I just intuitively knew it. And so Maya and I went home from the vet. We created this altar. We made this very sacred event out of creating a healing altar for Sam. I started massaging frankincense into her little paws every morning and every night. Then I started taking a magnet and running it from her little forehead all the way down her head, all the way down her spine. And I would just do that several times a day, just seeing that I was picking up energy that she had been holding on to for us that she didn't need to anymore. She ended up living for 3.5 years and died of old age and was comfortable the whole time. And the tumor was there. Her whole arm was still, but it didn't take her. It was old age. So I was just really aware that it was not her time, but as loving us so unconditionally and wanting to help us process some of the things that maybe we weren't fully processing. She just took it on for us.
Yes. And that's what they do. They take on stuff. And when we especially worry about them, it brings down their whole, trajectory of life, because they look at us to lead the way.
Yeah.
Path leader, right? So I was doing a column of light. Like I would see myself in a column of light, and I would bring my dog right to heaven in my arms, and I danced with her, and I would see her happy and joyful, and it would change her energy. She'd get up, she'd eat. And I have a client that said to me, I just, when I know there's tumors, I feel them and I want him to live. And I'm like, okay, when you feel those tumors, don't go to the dark side of thinking it's cancer and it's gross, even if, doctors have told you that they are. See those tumors as energy that goes away. See his coat smooth. See his energy as high. See his appetite as great. See his playfulness as high. See him in his perfect light. When I first started this, and there were so many animals on Facebook, I could barely handle it with the poaching and so many graphic pictures. I think you and I spoke about it, and you were like, just scroll through, don't even look.
And now you can hide them. I hide them. As soon as I see it even coming, I'm like, hide.
Because what that does, when you look at something so visual, and it creates an image for you, you imprint. And what happens is you imprint negatively. When you want to solve a problem, like Mother Teresa said, I'm not going to do a parade on war. I'm going to do a parade on peace. So the antithesis is not to do what you're compelled to do as a human. Run it to the vet, do this. I mean, definitely bring it to the vet, but it's like reality isn't everything it's cracked up to be. If you stay with the thoughts of cancer and the demise and the sadness, it goes nowhere. It's not going to help heal you or the dog. And the dog wants you in your highest vibration because they love you. So if you're happy and you're remembering the joyful times of playing in the park, or the funniest thing that I can remember about my dog in her youth is spinning in one place. It's a Frenchie thing. It is hysterical.
I've seen that. So
it's animated. It is the funniest thing. I have never seen a dog do that in one place, just spin. I don't know how they do it. And it's, and just the fun of, going on walks, going on hikes, just all the fun stuff is like, remember the fun.
Mm-hmm.
People do it. People do it that are married like 30 years. They'll still remember the first date. And it keeps their marriage alive. Do that for your animals.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's funny that we would even think that it's any different, but of course it's the same. And adding to it, just how sensitive they are energetically and how tuned into all of that they're so susceptible to what it is that we project upon them in probably ways that we just cannot fathom.
Yes. And they're healers, and they come to bring us to a higher place, always, over and over. It's always to, bring us to a higher place. I never believed in past lives until I started talking to dogs. And they tell me what their past life was, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I read for a girl that was a Buddhist, and she goes, oh yeah, we believe that a soul will come through as a dog at least once in the soul lifetime. And I'm like, hey, woo!
I love it.
Yeah. And then I realized that, oh my God, then I started to do more meditation on it, and they travel in soul families. So your dogs that are with you now have been with you in many other lifetimes, and they could have appeared as dogs or they could have appeared as people. All stuff that I was never taught, raised Catholic, went to Catholic school my whole life. This is not the way I was taught.
I actually have. Well, I'll tell you, this guy, my little Pierre, hold on, Pierre, be on camera for a minute. He's having allergies right now. Hi. Thank you. He's a kisser.
Is he allergic to fleas, Katie?
I think that he is. I think both of our cats are actually, and even though we haven't seen any yet, I think that it's just that time of year again. So it's the whole challenge of being afraid of the heavy duty medications.
Oh God. Yeah.
But the aggressive fleas, I was stunned when I moved to San Diego. I'd never seen fleas like what happens here and how strong they are.
They are.
So getting rid of them is scary.
It's like, pharmaceutical companies have thrown so much chemicals that they've become super fleas. And this started like in the 30s, 40s, 50s. So they're kind of like, they're immune to a lot of the stuff. So the stuff that we're giving our dogs is so powerful. I'm always one, if you could just spray the house with something like a nice product out there that I've been using is Wondercide. It smells really heavy duty.
Is that the stuff that smells like cedar?
Yeah. And I don't do well with cedar, but they make fragrances.
I love cedar.
Oh, you do? I feel like,
I love it.
Okay, then that would be really good for you. And that's a good product. Not ingesting it, When my dog had really bad fleas and I knew she had an autoimmune thing with the allergies, it was so severe. What I would do is I'd fill the tub, the sink, laundry room sink that's pretty deep. I'd fill it with warm water and baking soda, and I'd put her up to her ears so I would drown the fleas.
Oh yeah.
It really worked, and all the fleas would come to the top. So it's just baking soda and warm water. And the cool thing is that it stops the itching. The baking soda stops the itching, and at the same token, you're stopping the itching and you're drowning the fleas.
Okay. Well, yeah. So Zeb gave Pierre a bath like a week ago, and he did great. He's totally laid back kitty. He's like, just love me and it's fine.
Yeah.
But we haven't used baking soda and water, so maybe we'll try that just to soothe him
Yeah,
a little bit, because he's really uncomfortable.
Right.
And when you talk about not worrying about him, I'm like, I need to get better at that. But I see that he's uncomfortable and I can't stand
and
it.
even the organic shampoos, they have stuff in them. Like,
Yeah,
be so clean and pure for him.
strong enough. That's the challenge. It's
I know. Baking soda and water. Try that.
okay.
And you do it a lot. Like, I was doing it like in the heat of the summer. I was literally doing it 3 times a week.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I really was. And I was vacuuming and, diatomaceous earth inside my vacuum. I was because I didn't want the chemicals.
Yeah. Yeah, they're scary. I've heard too many horror stories, so it just makes me nervous.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, it's about 12:30. We've been about 30 minutes. So I feel like I want to do this again.
I do too. This was great and fun, and it's so good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So I know that you have a new website, which is gorgeous. What is it? How can people find you?
SusanCommunicates.com.
Awesome. And you work with all kinds of animals, not just cats and dogs, but anything.
Frog.
Any person, living or dead, any creature, living or dead.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Susan.
It's funny. I had this woman book a session and it was about wild gophers. And I was like, oh boy. Okay, so tell me what you got. And she didn't really have much. She said, my gardener shot this little video and it was very pixelated, but you can see something coming out of the ground and then come back in. And I was like, I just, you just don't know. I meditated. I got her on the phone and they started to tell me, we've been here for a really long time. We like the new, because she was gardening. We like the new shoots that are coming up for our kids. But that wasn't us last week. It was the deer. Did I tell you that one?
No.
And the woman said, I said, you don't have fence around your property and you live in Topanga, right? She said, yes. And that was kind of wild. And I said, it was a deer. And they're telling me it wasn't them. And she went, what's unbelievable is I went out and there was a deer print.
Yeah.
So that was so cool. I mean, I still get excited. I mean, anybody that tells you this isn't really fun and exciting.
Yeah.
So
totally. Totally. I love that. That's a great story. That's a fantastic story. Yeah, so let's make sure we do this again, and maybe we'll take some questions and pictures ahead of time. I know that pictures can sometimes help you as well. So
yes.
Maybe
the camera are great. I love to do that because it really gets you connected really quick. I don't need a picture.
Yeah.
But we love having pictures.
Perfect. So let's do that ahead of time next time, and then we'll hop back on and yeah, we'll get some animal readings in.
Yay. Thanks, Katy.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. So you heard it here. Susan, you can connect with her at susancommunicates.com. I'm Katy Bray. You can find me at livewiththelightson.com or really anywhere on social media as Katy Bray or livewiththelightson.com. So we will plan this again. And so think of your questions in the meantime, and we will keep you posted. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.